Hi class, in this video we're going to be talking about a rate and what a unit rate is. So first off, a rate is when you compare two quantities with different units. So for example, I could have one quantity where I have kilometers, and the other one could be liters, right? Or I could have dollars to, I don't know, maybe an item of something, maybe to like one can or something, right? Basically, I'm comparing two different units to each other. Now, a unit rate is pretty much a rate, but the second quantity is always going to be one unit. So the second quantity is always one unit. Um, so, for example, if I had $20 per, let's say, four cans, this would be called a rate. But a unit rate, that's special. It's special because the second quantity is always going to be one. So the bottom will always be one. It doesn't matter what my top quantity is, as long as my second quantity or the quantity on the bottom is going to be one. So then I could say, for example, $5 per one can, and that would be considered a unit rate. Now, let's look at our example here. Kevin went to a gas station to fill up his car. He paid $65 for 50 liters of gasoline. What is his cost per liters as a unit rate? Okay, first let's define his rate. His rate is going to be $65 per 50 liters of gasoline. Now, if we want to find his cost per liters as a unit rate, what we have to do is this. Remember, our second quantity, the one on the bottom, must become 1. So I'm going to write equals here, and I'm just going to write 1 liter on the bottom here. And I don't know what I'm going to have on the top here yet, okay? Now, we have to ask ourselves this question. How do you get from 50 liters to 1 liter? Now, if you remember correctly, 50 divided by itself is 1. In fact, any quantity divided by itself is going to be 1 except for 0. So in this case, I'm going to divide 50 by 50 to get 1. But what I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So that means I must also take 65 and divide it by 50. And 65 divided by 50 is going to be 1.3. So what that means is my unit rate, which means my second quantity must always be 1, is going to be 1.3 over 1 liter. So $1.30 per liter. So you can either write it like this, or you can write it like this, where you can go $1.30 per liter. Both of these are pretty much unit rates, right? So this here, this is a unit rate, and this can also be considered a unit rate, as long as the second quantity is going to be 1. And in this case, the second quantity is 1. Now, is it wrong if I, instead of writing 65 per 50 liters, if I wrote 50 liters per $65, and then instead of finding what 1 liter is, I found what $1 was instead? Would that be wrong? And in the context of unit rate, it wouldn't be wrong. But think about the question here. The question was, what is his cost per liter? Meaning cost must come first, and then liters must come second. So in this case, the only correct answer would be the dollars per liter. But if I didn't ask for what is his cost per liter, and I just asked, please express what he has as a unit rate, then it wouldn't be wrong for me to write liters over $1 as opposed to dollars over 1 liter.